Legend of the Boar Knight. Part 2, Chapter 14. This place blows. Nathaniel and the Necromancer, formerly known as the Lich King, were devoured by the angular glowworm in a manner akin to going down the swirling water slides at the water park, only with mucus instead of water, and Nathaniel's little piggy legs quickly flailing through the air. About a minute and 16 seconds later, they unexpectedly found themselves landing on a relatively solid surface, a giant decaying whale surrounded by a vast sea of stomach acid.
Ugh, this is disgusting, even for what I'm used to. I'm glad my nose no longer works. It's a shame I can't just use my necromantic powers to control this whale, because we'd be... Ah! My foot went through! My foot went through! That was utterly disgusting. Thank you. Now I have to wash my feet with bleach. I'll need a pedicure too. If we ever get out of this situation, you will never speak of this pig. Boar. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to be insensitive. The prospect of dying again just puts me in a bad mood. Ooh, that's a good idea. I didn't even see those.
And so Nathaniel and the Lich used a set of colorful pool noodles they located nearby, conveniently, to steer the whale carcass down the wide river of acid toward the blowhole of the angler glowworm. What do you mean they just happened to find pool noodles nearby? That doesn't make any sense.
Just keep going.
Alright.
Yes, there it is. Now wait just a moment while I silently cast a fireball spell on the whale. Ah! The whale's on fire! The whale's on fire! I'm on fire!
As the angler glowworm ejected the duo from a hidden blowhole, the following sound could be heard. As they landed with a thud and a snort, it appeared, much to Nathaniel's sadness, that his companion, the Lich, was dead. But fortunately for the Lich, his soul was stored in a hidden container, a class ring from Hogwarts, which allowed him to bring his body back from the dead. Again.
I hate it when that happens. You, Boar! I'm supposed to be leading a boring, peaceful unlife of non-violence. Wait, was that a double negative? Anyway, you're ruining it, and I can no longer follow you if I'm to keep my promise. And liches always keep their promises. There will be no more explosions, no more stomach acids, and no more raining of smelly necrotic whale blood. Cook Dracula's castle is just over yonder. About a day's journey down the pale, skinny beaches of the Dragon Coast. Good luck, little grunter. Now, get out of my unlife before I change my mind and try to help you.
And with that, the two parted ways, and Nathaniel began his slow trek toward the sunless beaches of the Dragon Coast. Chapter 15, A Game of Thrones. As Nathaniel's hooves first touched the beaches of the eternally sunless Dragon Coast, he quickly discovered that its waters were completely frozen in ice, despite not even being a particularly chilly day. That is to say, eternally night-filled portion of the day and night cycle that we're going to categorize as day, for simplicity's sake. The endless darkness and the frozen shores of the Dragon Coast offered clear evidence that Cook Dracula's powers had all but returned to him, and that all of Vannia's living creatures would soon be in dire peril. It was at that moment that Nathaniel suddenly found himself in the shadow of something very large, which he would have noticed, save for the fact that it was still dark out.
Shake in terror, beauty hoglet, for you stand in the shadow of Malifaux, toaster of marshmallow, the city near the swamp, roaster of rotisserie nights, and bringer of the end of good times. Why, yes, I am also known by that name. And that one. And that one. Wow, I guess you really have heard of me. I suppose I really should update my Wikipedia page, because that one isn't technically true. But even so, I am fairly fond of challenging puny mortals like yourself to games of skill, as opposed to just torching them where they stand. I'm a dragon. Games like Cat's Cradle are clearly beneath me. So instead, let us play something more challenging. Let us play a Game of Thrones edition of Monopoly. We'll play best 2 out of 3. That cool with you?
And so Nathaniel and the dragon played a round of Monopoly, Game of Thrones edition, which Nathaniel happened to have packed for just such an occasion.
Casterly Boardwalk again! Egad! Again!
And so Nathaniel and Malifaux played yet another game of Monopoly, Game of Thrones edition.
Again? Seriously, I've never rolled so poorly in all my life! Best 3 out of 5! This time, I'll use my own set of dice.
Though he surely objected to this, Nathaniel knew better than to upset a dragon, and so they played 2 more games of Monopoly, Game of Thrones edition. Chapter 16. Cheaters can't be choosers. And as the dragon revealed the another color-themed wedding chance card, the game was concluded in Nathaniel's favor.
Well, Nathaniel, I'll give you credit for being perhaps one of the most cunning creatures I've ever faced. It's fortunate for me that you're still small and tasty. Well, no. I never technically agreed to do anything except play a game with you. I know it's bad manners to play with your food, but, well, that's just what us dragons do. It's in our nature.
And so the dragon sighed, cracked his many neck bones, stood up, cracked his fingers for good measure, and began to breathe fire. In fact, one could say he had breath of fire, too. Speaking of which... Chapter 17. The Kind with Teeth. Though a master swordswine, Nathaniel still had quite some difficulty overcoming the full might of a dragon, and found himself in a difficult situation. On one hoof, he was sworn to defend all of the living creatures of the realm, but on the other hoof, this dragon was trying to eat him. So, midway through the fight, Nathaniel's conscience, represented in the same manner as 2 small shoulder angels, appeared, only in the forms of an apple core and a brick.
Hey, Nathaniel. I'm the golden apple core of good intentions.
Yo, Nathaniel, I'm a brick. I represent the things you need to do, but you don't necessarily think are such a good idea.
We're here today to talk about the dragon Malifaux.
No duh. It's, wait. Watch out.
Oh, nice dodge. So, this dragon, though sort of a prick, is still a creature of nature.
Yeah, but he's an apex predator. He only exists to terrorize other animals. So killing him would be like a good thing.
What about the Great Circle of Life?
No. Just don't get started on that circlet of life bit again. Circle, triangle, whatever. You're being a square. Even if I completely agreed with you, which I don't. The issue here is what to do about the dragon that's trying to eat us. if we're not gonna kill him, what else could we possibly do to peacefully resolve this situation? We've got a sword, a cape, a really asymmetrical shoulder pauldron, a few more truffles, and
And a shoehorn.
what?
A magical shoehorn that repels dragons.
Clearly it didn't do such a good job of repelling them if...
Quickly, Nathaniel. Now's your chance. Use it.
And so Nathaniel pulled out the magical shoehorn of dragon repelling and eased the dragon into a seaside cave from which it could not escape. With a nice view, I might add. Oh, and lots of crabs. Still, despite everything that had happened, Nathaniel felt torn about leaving the fire-breathing legend in a stone prison. Devoid of anything more than crabs and possibly pirate treasure, having scant more time to waste though, Nathaniel reluctantly left the pale sandy beaches of the Dragon Coast, cleaned off his hooves in a convenient little spigot of water, and approached the lonely dirt road for Castlevania. Chapter 18, Black Rock and Roll. As Nathaniel steeled himself to approach the castle, he noticed a terrifying but smelly orc encampment blocking his path. It was smelly because orcs don't bathe, and it was terrifying because they were being led by none other than Master War Chief MC Doomhammer himself. Wait, MC Hammer? Oh god. Lacking a proper orc disguise and unable to avoid the encampment, which was inconveniently located at the base of the castle gates, Nathaniel would be forced to act quickly or be noticed. Licking his hoof and raising it to the air, Nathaniel gauged the direction of the wind as he began barreling down the hillside, rapidly gaining momentum, and before the orcs knew what was happening, Nathaniel leaped with a mighty squeal and redirected the momentum of an oncoming orc swing to propel himself far into the air. With his lightning-quick calculations, Nathaniel then bounced off of a flying guitar goyle. Nathaniel then bounced off of a flying guitar goyle and into the cape of a particularly large and smelly orc, which he grasped in his snouty mouth and used centrifugal force to swing himself up onto the drawbridge. It was there that he was unexpectedly confronted by MC Doomhammer, whom, until this point, Nathaniel thought could not touch him.
Oh boy, what have we here? This sweet small swine? It's hammer time!
And so Nathaniel and MC Doomhammer fought in single combat above a frozen dairy moat, complete with frozen alligators, popsicles, fruit bits, and also pointy spikes. Ooh!
Here comes the hammer!
Chapter 19, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Pigma. After 3 minutes and 31 seconds of combat, it was clear that Nathaniel had gained the upper hoof.
I cannot repel skill of that magnitude, though you might seem crude, little swine, you've got the moves. You too legit to hit, so my orcs and I surrender. It's all good. You gaining momentum on your way to fight Cook Dracula the Butcher. So head on up and come stomp his pale butt, would ya?
And after a completely awkward hug from MC Doomhammer, Nathaniel crossed the gates into Castlevania, where all sorts of unspeakable evil horrors awaited him, which won't be mentioned here for lack of disk space. This would be the final battleground, standing between Nathaniel and his mortal enemy, Cook Dracula, the Butcher. Chapter 20, A Dish Best Served Cold. As Nathaniel cut through the metaphorical tide of indescribable evil, surpassing level 8 and getting all of the hidden treasures on the way. No, really, all of them. Did you know that they hide turkey in the walls of the castle? I'm not sure why they do that. Then again, he is a butcher. Upon reaching the end of the final level, a reclusive tower with a nice water view and a beautiful walk-in closet, Nathaniel came face to face with the very same monster that killed his parents and turned them into a crispy sandwich. Cook Dracula, the butcher, who was lacing up his boots.
Accursed things. Right over left, left over right. Was it around the tree or down the rabbit hole? Curses. Oh, you must be Nathaniel. I wasn't expecting you for another 3 to 4 minutes. One moment.
While dark magics tied Cook Dracula's shoes, darkness flooded into the room from the walk-in closet, warping the features of the room into a twisted sort of butcher's kitchen.
Hello, little piggy. What a fine sandwich you'll make. I am Cook Dracula, the butcher, baker of bacon, dark lord of the blood sausage, scourge of Hell's Kitchen, and ever-living alchemist of the unholy delicatessen. A long time ago, I cooked and ate your parents. They were so delicious, they put me into a food coma. Or I suppose it could have been some sort of Hogwarts magic. Either way, there's just one thing left for me to do before I cook you and eat you. Tell you my evil plans, of course, since you will soon be a delicious olive loaf. Ooh, I'm salivating at this thought. Ah yes, the plan first. I really want to just make meat from all the things and expand my unholy delicatessen to have franchises throughout the entire world. So my sweet meats will be the only thing on the menu. First, I will start with the bunnies. Rabbit Stew Monday. Working my way up to Halloween Tuesday. Deer Wednesday. The animal, not the word of endearment. Soy. Lint Green Thursday. Spoilers, it's made from people. And Ham Friday. That's right. In the mere 5 days, my forces shall already be at Ham's End. Hog's End, right. Though I like the sound of Ham's End better. There's a nicer ring. Siri, make a special note for 3:30 p.m. on Friday to rename the village of Hog's End into Ham's End.
Here's your reminder for Wednesday at 3:30 p.m.
Yes, thank you, Siri.
Your wish is my command.
I love her. Oh, where were we? Wow, quite a snout on this one. Disrespecting me. Hogswash, there will be no way out of this, Nathaniel. No games, no playing with my food. I'm going to kill, cook, and eat you in that order.
And so the battle for the kingdom of Vanilla began. Epilogue. There and back again. A hobbit's Boar Knight's journey. Yes, I covered that up well. There was much fighting, much repelling of evil, but ultimately, Cook Dracula's magic was too much for our hero, and Nathaniel found himself hogtied by magical string cheese to a butcher's block with a fairly nice cutlery set and a giant-sized sausage grinder.
What to put into my magical meat sausage mix? Some coriander, handful of breadcrumbs for texture, and what the heck? You only live for eternity once, right, little piggy? Let's throw in some garlic. What's this?
It was at this time that Nathaniel used his nimble little tail to activate the magical cloak of rat summoning. Having mastered the cloak on his journey, he was able to summon a torrent of entwined incisors and tail ends that began to gush forth through the walls, floor, ceiling, and magnificent walk-in closet of Dracula's tower. Have you ever seen The Shining? It was kind of like that, only with a rat-nado of fur and fury instead of blood. Rats were spewing out faucets and windows. It was disgusting. In all effectiveness, a ratalash mixed with an open fire hydrant of vermin. Dracula cried as the ratsoon, kind of like a monsoon, but with rats. No? Too much of a stretch? Well, it sucked him into the sausage grinder, turning at full speed as the waterfall of rats spun it like an inverted hamster wheel. This majestic force of nature turned both cook and rat alike through the grinder, creating perhaps the most delicious meat ever conceived. Cooked Dracula sausage, prepared rat dente. I suppose that technically makes Lucy's prophecy only a half-cooked one, though, because the swinolith wasn't actually involved in Dracula's demise. But I suppose Nathaniel could have used it to cut the sandwiches later, or something. So maybe she was sort of right. Anyway, it was only after the vermin tide began to subside when Nathaniel noticed that the string cheese holding him in place was gone. Somewhat disoriented and still confused by the wrath he had set in motion, Nathaniel decided that it would be best to give the magical sausage he'd created to the poor, hair, teeth, and all, for it was truly delicious. Just like Lucky Charms are magically delicious, this sausage was ratchically delicious. Never mind. A few days later in Porkalore, Nathaniel was welcomed by a celebration in his honor. It was a giant parade and festival filled with video games, music, and video game music, with a performance by the Careless Juja live band. I suppose that also makes Sir Williamsburg somewhat right about them being popular one day. Everyone in this story was there at the festival, including Lucy Longlegs, Sam the shopkeeper, his lovely wife Lou, Nathaniel's adoptive family, Stan Lee, formerly known as the Lich, the ghost of Sir Farolanzar Williamsburg, MC Doomhammer, the Orc Horde, a more humbled Malifaux the Dragon, a knight named Alexei, and even the spirits of Nathaniel's parents, who looked really good for being ghosts. Amidst the celebration, a great speech was given by Porkalore's mayor, which we'll skip to the end of because it was boring. Boring.
And now, a word from our hero. Thank you, Nathaniel. I'm truly touched by your words, as I'm sure everyone else here is as well. This is the best holiday ever. May evil never take hold over the stomachs of elves or man again. Nathaniel, since you saved the world from the evil cook Dracula, what would you like to name this very special holiday? Which will be celebrated for the rest of eternity in Vanilla. And so it shall be. Cue the live band.
And after the conclusion of a most fantastic 3-day holiday weekend, Nathaniel began to head home. But that, young children, is a story for another time. This concludes the legend of the Boar Knight.
Hey there, MC Doomhammer. Can you lay down a wicked beat about how cool I am?
You too legit to hit. You too legit. Too legit to hit.
Boom.
Too legit.
Cha.
Too legit to hit. Can't touch this. Too legit. Too legit to hit. Too legit. Too legit to hit. Can't touch this. Too legit. Too legit to hit. Too legit. Too legit to hit. Can't touch this. Too legit. Too legit to hit. Too legit.
Too legit to hit.
Here comes the hammer. Here comes the hammer. Here comes the hammer. Can't touch this. Here comes the hammer. Here comes the hammer. Here comes the hammer. Can't touch this.
Too legit to hit.
Here comes the hammer. Here comes the hammer. Here comes the hammer. Can't touch this.
Too legit to hit.
Presenting the Legend of the Boar Knight cast. Brittany Horn as Lucy Longlegs. Josh Steelman as Farolanzar Williamsburg. Peter Pepper as NC Duhammer and the Brick. Jamie Kitten as the Apple Core of Good Intentions. Careless as Old Barrel and Cook Dracula, with special guest Frontal Floss as Sam the Shopkeeper, and you judge it absolutely nothing! No, just kidding. He was the homosexual mayor of Porkalore. That's how he actually sounds.
And this concludes The Legend of the Boar Knight, co-written by Peter Pepper and Careless, read by some guy, illustrated by Jamie Kittens, published by Shinra Electric Records, 2014. I think that's supposed to be 2015. If you like good video game music or just music, please visit carelessjuja.com. That's Juja for links and additional content. Should you have enjoyed this production, please let us know by posting a review on either iTunes or Amazon. Thank you for listening. Please live long and prosper. Hey, that's a Star Trek reference. Live long and prosper.
So, guys, what did you think of the show? Well, just to let you know, this show isn't over with just yet. If you give us just about 5 minutes time while we break down the stage, there very well might be a live performance of some kind by some kind of band that was kind of surrounded with this entire project. So if you give us about 5 minutes, and if you guys don't know, you can make your own little sock puppets right over there.